It all starts with the public education system, with our children, the real vulnerable generations of society. The youth of today are the ones being taken advantage of. From kindergarten forward, they are being manipulated with technology that is being used to corrupt their fragile little minds and steer them away from a better world. I work for School District 22 located in Vernon, British Columbia. I'm a custodian, and yes, I may be a janitor, but I have my personal experiences. I have witnessed the realities and the direction of our public education system. I have done my own independent investigative journalism, and the real story must be told. I have held my job with the school district for 3.5 years. I was hired in October of 2017, and during my time with my employer, I had two senior technicians approach me each on separate occasions, both knowing I have 2 children of my own. They came to warn me. Each of these men told me to get a copy of the full legal definitions behind School District 22's Web Tools Informed Parent Consent Form. I was advised to get the information without drawing attention to myself and letting our employer know it was me seeking it. These 2 gentlemen told me our public education system is silently recording all of our children's activities when they are signed up for and using Google Chromebooks and laptops. Their information, with the use of facial recognition in video and audio recordings, is sent overseas to China, where the children are all valued on a points rating system. These 2 men left their postings because they could not work for the school district any longer, knowing what is going on behind the scenes. I went to my eldest son's school, J.W. Ingalls in Lumbee, and I got a hold of a copy of this Web Tools Informed Parent Consent Form, a Google Chrome permission slip for parents to sign, giving their children's consent away so their child may use the technology provided. The permission slip states, "It is important to be aware that many of the web tools are online services hosted outside of British Columbia and possibly Canada. While stored outside the country, information in your children's accounts may be subject to the laws of foreign jurisdictions." That alone is fairly alarming. The words used urge caution, saying it is important to be aware, pointing to the fact that our children's information is subject to foreign laws. I did my best to find the full legal definition of that statement on the school district's website, to no avail. It just does not seem to exist. It's like they're hiding it. All parents and teachers I have spoken with are completely unaware, indicating they did not read or understand what they were actually signing. I decided to do some online research regarding China's school system and their points rating system, known as social credit scoring. I discovered China's schools' children, their children, are under constant surveillance. Facial recognition cameras have been placed in their schools and their classrooms, and the students are required to wear a headband that monitors the children's thoughts. Not only is the AI, the artificial intelligence, watching over the children as if it's like some mysterious overlord, it is actually reading their thoughts. Can it implant thoughts as well? The Chinese state is setting up a vast ranking system that will monitor the behavior of its enormous population and rank them all based on their social credit. The social credit system, first announced in 2014, aims to reinforce the idea that keeping trust is glorious, breaking trust is disgraceful, according to a government document. The program is due to be fully operational nationwide by 2020, so now. And it was already being piloted, for millions of people across the country already before this. And the scheme will be mandatory if it is already not. Chinese citizens start with 1,050 points. They will lose their points based on their individual behavior. Go below 1,000 points and you can no longer fly. You can be denied access to trains, to food, the ability to rent a home, and so much more. Your dog will even be taken away from you and you will be publicly declared a bad citizen. Everything is monitored and controlled by the AI program run through the advancement of 5G technology, which has been rolled out absolutely everywhere in China long before 2020. Further to this dystopian system of societal control, in March of 2020, while their citizens were held in lockdown, China passed new laws restricting people's use of the internet, suppressing their freedom of speech. China's government and tech companies have long been known to distort data and enforce strict censorship on what its citizens can see, and the new law comes as China scrambles to suppress criticism amid a national emergency over the outbreak of the coronavirus. Criticism about the Chinese government is rare to see on social media, as critical posts are often quickly removed and banned, and the people behind them are censored. China has enacted a new law that effectively allows people to post only positive content about the country on the internet. In other words, if you speak out about the government or have an opposing opinion, do not agree with what you are told to do, or act the way they tell you to act, you will be punished. And if you try to speak out about it, you will be silenced, possibly with a death sentence, such as the doctors and others who tried to speak out about the coronavirus when it first started. This is the destruction of free speech and the freedom of press. And it's all starting to happen right here in Canada. Canada has been pushing out new laws similar to China's. Research Bill C-10 and pay attention to the online censorship taking place not only here, but in America as well. During our lockdowns here in our wonderful democratic society of our nation, we witnessed, or perhaps didn't witness, the rollout of 5G and mass surveillance placed all over the country. It happened with astounding speed. It is blatantly obvious to anyone aware that this is the setup of the Orwellian Big Brother society. The establishment of a police state is unfolding. 5G towers and facial recognition cameras are all over the place. It is beginning to look a lot like China. In Vernon, close to my place of work, I noticed a huge 5G tower that was installed sometime in March or early April. I asked my coworkers about it, and they seemed to think it had gone up in secret, seemingly overnight. I emailed the mayors and councillors of our communities seeking answers, only to be given the silent treatment. So I spoke with the people. I spoke with the general public. I listened to the concerns and thoughts of many people about the issues of 5G. A vast majority of us think this technology is making people sick. I decided to dig into the matter to the best of my ability, and what I found is fairly shocking. I first came across a published scientific journal from a highly respected professional who proved EMS, Wi-Fi, and 5G technologies cause extremely serious health ailments and diseases. I was sent a video which was being censored as fast as it went up. And I listened to a man claiming to be a former Vodafone employee speak out about the dangers of 5G. What he said in that video made a lot of probable sense. I watched videos of couples and families telling their stories about the health ailments they suffered living close to cell towers. I found a 2018 Consumer CBS News report verifying the health dangers of 5G technology after firefighters fell ill to its effects after it was installed at their fire halls. And then lastly, I watched two videos which convinced me of the real health dangers of wireless technology. I watched a video about the active denial system, a military device designed to disperse crowds of people with short wave bursts of EMFs fired at 95 gigahertz, instantly burning people's skin, making them feel as if they were in a microwave. And at 60 gigahertz, the millimeter wavelengths affect the human blood. It affects our hemoglobin as it deprives our body, our blood, of oxygen. And finally, I watched a video of a man by the name of Barrie Trower. He's a microwave weapons expert from the British Navy. And he spoke out about the effects of Wi-Fi on the human mind and body, the serious health effects.
Anything I say, I have documentary evidence for. A statement was made in 1962 by the governments that birth defects, all birth defects, organs, whole organisms, all cells, brain function, all emotions, all moods could be altered, changed and destroyed by 1962. Microwaves then, as now, were used as stealth weapons before they became cell phones.
He spoke out about it, and this man is appalled by the introduction of this technology in our school systems. So on April 27th, 2020, following my research, I emailed my employer, School District 22, telling them I am refusing to work due to unsafe working conditions effective immediately. Not only did I send this email to my employer, I sent it to every single one of my coworkers, the teachers, administrators, the public health minister, the public education minister. I sent it to politicians and lawyers. I presented all the information I found. I asked all of my QB sisters and brothers to stand together with me and refuse working any further. I encouraged all teaching staff to stop giving any further online instruction and said all parents and students need to know about this. I explained we need to all join together, turn to the elected body of the government and demand the immediate removal of wireless technology from schools all across Canada without delay. Concluding the email, I made a public announcement stating I do not consent to either of my two children being enrolled with School District 22 or involved with the public education system in any form or manner until all wireless technology is dismantled and completely disposed of. I said, if our public education system cannot teach my children that they can live without wireless technology, then I will do it myself. Remember this now. I do not consent is a key phrase we need to use more than ever, especially now in today's world, at this very moment. It is the fundamental phrase we must use if we, the people, the general public, are going to be the sovereign human beings we are meant to be. I do not consent is the phrase that will save humanity and allow us to change our ways. I sent the email, and the very next day, immediately upon reading my material, my employer, School District 22, called my ex-wife telling her I am mental, fabricating an absurd and completely random accusation, saying I may flee the province with our children and that my employer is concerned over their safety when they are in my care. The district then called the police, filing a report telling them too that I am mental and a major threat to the safety of all staff and students. I was persecuted for using my voice, expressing my personal opinion the very next day after I spoke out. To this day, I can understand no other reason in making these completely uncalled for claims, inflicting damage to my personal life other than to harm my reputation. On April 28th, 2020, Jenny, a social service worker, called my ex-wife after she was contacted by the school district, now telling her I have serious mental health issues, that the safety of our children is at risk, and that they are concerned about me having weapons in the home. wanting to know how my firearms are stored, claiming I am a risk to my children and staff and the children and staff of the schools. This lady questioned my ex-wife, asking if I have ever been declared with a mental health issue or not. This part of my story is not relevant at this point, but it leads as a perfect example, clearly illustrating the dismantlement of our basic human rights. My email was immediately deleted from all accounts. No one within my workplace was given the opportunity to view, to consider, or speak of my email. I was silenced. I was censored. I was persecuted and publicly shamed for my apparent sins. I was outright disgraced for speaking my mind, defamed and humiliated for using and expressing my apparent freedom of speech. I demanded answers and was provided with more ignorance. I told my supervisors if they do not inform the general public, the parents and students of our communities about the potential dangers from wireless technologies, that I will. I gave them an ultimatum to go public by May 10th, 2020, telling them if they don't, I will. The school district outright ignored me again. They rushed the supposed health and safety investigation without actually doing any testing or providing proof wireless technologies are safe. WorkSafe BC conducted a health and safety investigation into my claims over the wireless technology, and in an interview with the investigator, Mr. Reed McIntyre, I mentioned to him that the frequencies of 60 gigahertz cause damage to our hemoglobin, and at 95 gigahertz, it instantly burns the skin. I made it clear the 5G technology has not been tested by Health Canada, our government, or telecommunications companies. I asked for the testing to be done and to be shown proof that this technology is safe. Instead, I was provided with excuses in a conclusion to my concerns, saying the interviews between our parties was relevant enough to close the file. When I read the report, I was shocked to see the technology I am speaking of operates between 3 and 300 gigahertz. Again, I will state that from my research, our hemoglobin is affected at 60 gigahertz. It is extremely disturbing to see this level of ignorance. When I realized I was getting nowhere with the school district or WorkSafe BC, and they continued to threaten me, I decided to go public, just as I said I would. On May 31st, 2020, our website went live. We have built a platform not to slander or discredit the school district or my union president, but to provide full transparency to the public. We designed our website with the intention to bring awareness to the general public so we may show the people how flawed our system really is and how little those in high positions within our education system care. And believe me, I was utterly shocked myself. We've also done this, created this website to entice real positive change by bringing forth creative and positive solutions. To this day, my employer and union continue to ignore me. They continue to ignore my primary concerns and refuse to rectify the mistakes they made by calling the police, social services, and the mother of my children. As I record this video today, I received an email from my union president telling me he is extremely disappointed with me creating my own personal website and publishing phone conversations between outside third parties and myself. There are many emails, letters, and other documents, one after the other, illustrating the ignorance and unjustifiable actions used in the handling of my situation. All of these emails, letters, and documents have been published on our website in sequence for you to review at your leisure. Now, earlier I mentioned School District 22's Web Tools Informed Parent Consent Form. Since writing the email to the school district about wireless technology, I have asked the school district on 3 separate occasions to provide me with the full legal definitions as suggested to me by the two men I referred to earlier. To which I was ignored twice, and the final time they sent me the same very vague information I had already gotten from my older son's school. It is important for parents and students to know what is truly happening with our children's information. If the real truth is known, parents and students would not be giving their consent away by signing up for Google Chrome accounts or using online technology in school. The education system is keeping information hidden because their motives and intentions are questionable. The one-page consent form states, "Your written consent to your child's use of web tools that access information outside of Canada is required by British Columbia's Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, FIPA. Furthermore," and I quote, "if you choose not to provide your consent to your child's use of web tools, your child will not be penalized in any way, and alternate activities will be provided as appropriate." The consent form is only valid for 1 year. The document must be signed every September at the beginning of the school year. This gives us the chance to take a stance and say no more. Remember, consent is key. They need our consent to get away with their behind-the-scenes agendas. "I do not consent" is the phrase we need to start voicing out loud. It is absolutely certain our governments will not listen to us. They will not listen to we, the people. The governments do not care for us. They are not our friends. And they're also not our caretakers. And they definitely are not our saviors. It is time we listen to one another. Time we looked each other in the eyes and spoke the real truths without fear. It is the time for us to find the strength and courage to say no. To say we do not consent. We no longer agree with what our governments are doing. It is time for action. Parents and students need to seriously question why it is believed children need to be given laptops, tablets to learn. Why do we need harmful technology in schools? Forget public areas, but schools where vulnerable children, vulnerable young children, are affected. Children should be playing. They should be learning creatively. They should be learning to read books. They should be learning to handwrite. They should be learning fine motor skills. They should be learning to use tools. They should be learning about the outdoors and about the nature and about our world around us. Not staring at computer screens all day. To be taught there are more ways of informing self
than without
heavy reliance on the internet. We can already see how addicted people are to their phones, to their screens, often missing the beauty that's all around us. What are we doing when putting these iPads and laptops in front of them? The moment they enter school in kindergarten, it's drastically setting them up for a life where they are completely and utterly reliant on such technology. When the motives of China's mind-reading technology in schools was questioned, the response was to improve the short attention span of children. But any psychologist or citizen with a phone for that matter can tell you that these short attention spans are a result of our severe dependency and addiction to our electronic devices. I tried my best, my absolute best, to rally our union together and demand immediate changes. Not only did I send the email on April 27th, 2020, asking all my union sisters and brothers, including the teachers, to stand together and refuse to work until changes are made, I also created a flyer the previous year titled QB 5523, Stand Together for a livable wage increase. I did this leading up to our 2018-2022 collective agreement and contract that we were to vote on. I distributed the flyer to my coworkers after I heard from senior staff about the poor wage increases over the previous 25 years. Pretty well every single employee is unsatisfied with their job and their wages, constantly bantering back and forth among themselves. So I took the initiative to do something about it. Both times I tried to gather the union to stand together. Not only did my email and flyer get censored, it became clear the employees are too afraid to speak out and use their voice to make appropriate changes. They're afraid to lose their job if they openly discuss these critical matters. Jobs seem to be more important than safety and making positive changes. On June 18th, 2020, I distributed a flyer around my hometown of Lumbee, British Columbia, titled, "The General Public Must Know the Entire Truth." My sons and I delivered 100 copies to the local businesses in town. I promised to create this video specifically to speak directly to Canadians and the residents of Lumbee. We are the ones who can stop the lies and the corruption. We the people, the parents and students of our public education system. If we really want to see positive change needed in this world today, then we need to join together, to stand side by side and tell the governments, to tell the elected officials that we do not consent. We do not consent to wireless technology being in our public schools any longer. We do not consent to forced vaccinations. We do not consent to half-truths. There must be full transparency and disclosure moving forward. I am calling upon all parents and students of Canada to spend this summer doing your own research. Look over as much information as you can on all issues. 5G, COVID-19, vaccines, China's school system, their point system. Look at the alternative sources, including the mainstream media. Search for the truths, discover who is truly lying to you and why they are doing it. I am going to provide you with as much material as I can and resources to help you get started. Your involvement is paramount if we are going to alter the system for the better of all, for us, for our children, for the animals and the earth. My hope is that you become an autodidact and re-educate yourself so we can take our stance at the end of this summer. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for following along this story. Live in love, love always, and together we are going to correct the system.